Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm the Gamers Digester, and today we're going to be asking a question that I feel like might be on a lot of your guys' mind. If you're anything like me, if you've been playing the Nintendo Switch for a few years here, if you've had the original version, you've probably racked up a pretty big library. Now, with the unannounced but highly anticipated Nintendo Switch 2, Switch Pro, whatever they're going to call it, I can't imagine they'd sway too far from this design model here. This is sold incredibly well and works fantastically. I can't imagine they would just drop all of that. But if it's anything like the Switch and they're not going for some watch or VR headset type thing, what will happen to all of our old games? I just barely made a video talking about cartridges and what do they plan on doing with that. And I ended it with kind of leading into this next video here. And that is, what will they do with these older games? If they're playable on the newer device, are they still going to be at these lower resolutions? If you had the guts to play Doom Eternal on here like I did, I destroyed it. I absolutely loved playing Doom Eternal on the Switch. At 20 or 30 FPS with that horrible resolution, it was not only a novelty, it was incredible. And I recommend everyone, if it's on sale and you're bored, give that a try. It will blow your mind. The fan doesn't even turn on this thing. It is crazy to me that it was playable. The point I'm trying to make there is, on this newer device, whenever it comes out, 10 years, 5 years, 1 year, hopefully, will they revisit these older games? These developers like id Software, From Software, will they go back, especially Nintendo, with all of the criticism that they've been getting for the 30 FPS for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom? Will they revisit these games and make them higher fidelity and try and match that 60 FPS, where there is no confirmed specs or anything like that? Right now, it's all just speculation. I feel like I'd love to hear your guys' discussion on this, because right now, it's kind of a gray area. We had the Nintendo Direct this morning. I know some of you were very excited. Maybe we were going to hear something regarding the Nintendo Switch, but unfortunately, we did not. There were some very cool games announced. I'm very excited myself to see Super Mario Bros. Wonder. That looks incredible. But as far as the Switch Pro, we're just going to have to wait a little bit longer for that. Switch 2, I really have no idea what they're going to call this. I don't know if it'll be a complete revamp of the Switch, but like I said, it is highly anticipated. We all know that it is around the corner. It is coming. And one thing I touched on in my previous video was the Switch was amazing. It still is amazing. The form factor, everything about the Switch was great. The only thing, in my opinion, that was lacking, if we can keep the OLED display on all new and upcoming Switch devices, that's my only thing besides performance. That is it. The form factor, it's quiet, it's lightweight, you can play it with friends, you can take it anywhere almost. That is incredible, and they nailed it. What I just hope that they go back and support some of these older titles. Now, this video all depends on my previous video. If they end up scrapping the eShop and creating a whole new eShop that you have to purchase all these games again, one, that would be an incredible slap in the face, but I can see something like that definitely maybe happening. Yes, it might happen. I'm definitely not going to say that it won't. Just with previous games, and they're slowly adding more and more retro games to the platform here, but it would pain me for that to not happen, and I really hope that it does. And if it does, then this video has a lot of potential gravity. Like, if they do support these older games, will Tears of the Kingdom be 60 FPS? And all of the resolution, all those issues, will they be worked out? Will these newer games that they've announced, like Super Mario Wonder, will that game have a kind of a backwards compatible version? If you are at all familiar with the Xbox and PlayStation, if you remember when the Series X was announced, The one thing that I was very concerned about, what will happen to all of my Xbox One games? Same with PlayStation 5. What will happen? Will they keep making games that are backwards compatible? I could probably go off and make an entire video on that. Will they continue making games for the Nintendo Switch as well as this Switch Pro, whatever they're going to end up calling it, Switch 270, if you get the reference there? I have no idea, and I'm very, it's almost anxious. I'm very anxious. I want to hear the specs. I said in my previous video, I hope no one is comparing this to, say, a Series X or a Series S in performance. Nintendo doesn't have to compete with those other devices. It just has to be smooth. Most Nintendo games when they launched on the Switch were smooth, and now that we're seeing Arkham Knight be ported over, Doom Eternal ported over, it becomes very clear how lacking the Switch is in performance. I mean, the actual hardware was designed in something, I believe, 2015. Guys, do you remember what was happening in 2015? You were probably still in high school or middle school doing Gangnam Style. It has been so long since that has happened that I can't imagine what they could do with newer hardware. Just take Tears of the Kingdom, with how beautiful that game looked. The only thing that was on my mind was when you're in the upper area with all the foliage, the wind, everything. Imagine how good this would look at a steady resolution. Imagine how good this would look at 60 FPS. That is something that I just can't get out of my mind after playing some of these newer games and playing these newer handhelds like the Asus ROG Ally. Is this kind of fidelity and frame rate is possible with a handheld. Now, the battery life is a major concern. What will they do about battery life if they do plan on making these games run at 10 or 720, whatever, but at least 60 FPS? I'm very, I guess, on the fence. I don't know what they're going to do. One thing about the Switch was it had a pretty good battery life. If you compare it to some of these newer devices like the Steam Deck and this Ally that I'm playing here, the Switch probably crushes it for most things. I mean, I barely even hear the fans turn on. It's honestly a work of art how they're able to get that device to do the things that it does with the actual what's under the hood. And I'm sure if you're at all interested in tech, it really is super cool to see developers make these games work on there and still have you keep a decent battery life. Now, one thing that has been very interesting to see, there have been major improvements in cooling as far as different things. I mean, the fan's been around for 100 years, but there's a different Frork. If you're familiar, I won't dive too deep into that. That is a crazy innovation with cooling that is very lightweight. It's a SD, a solid state cooling chip. The one thing that we haven't seen any major improvements on, you guys, is battery size. And what I mean by battery size, sorry, is just the size of the battery for the performance that you get out of it. It's really just kind of capped to like straight up physics. Like, we have not had any major breakthroughs in that. If you want more power to be stored, you just have to get a bigger device to store that. That's really it. And one of the biggest things about the Switch was the fact that it is so light, so small and portable. And I don't know how they're going to. This has about an hour battery life. If you want to play at the max wattage, you have about an hour here. That is unacceptable for Nintendo for any of their standards. If you know about the original Game Boy, stuff like that, one of their biggest pushes was for battery life. I believe they cut out color in some of their earlier devices just to get double the battery life. And I mean, we all know how important color is now, but you could see that where their priorities were. I don't know what they're going to do with that. It'd be interesting to see if they had something like what the Series X is doing with their performance and quality modes. If you could kind of toggle a max resolution but 30 FPS mode and then kind of go back and forth between the two. And I mean, really right now it's all up to speculation, but it's always fun to have these conversations. If you guys enjoyed at all this video, I urge you to subscribe, to like, share this with your friends if you think they'd be interested. Making YouTube videos has been so fun. I've been doing this for just a little over 2 weeks now, and we've just got partnered with YouTube, and we're almost about to get 1,000 subscribers. I owe it all to this community. You guys have been there. I know it kind of sounds corny me saying this, but you guys have been there the whole time, and the support has just been insane. And I'm very grateful to have you guys. I'd like to say this here in this video. It is so nice having a community of actual level-headed human beings and not 10-year-old children. Sorry, PewDiePie, but it's nice to see the discussions that you guys have, how rational you can be, how helpful you guys are in the comments for people who are having issues with games and their devices. It honestly is amazing, and I just feel blessed to have you guys. So if you appreciate this video at all, I encourage you to hit that like button. But with that, I'll leave it here, and let's just see what we can think about in the comments. Have a good day.